Hello, I'm Phillip Bateman and I wrestle for Extreme World Wrestling as Phillip Bateman. And today I'm going to be talking to you about selling. The first point of selling is to register the pain. There is an initial shock when you're frozen, and then you're rapidly going to pull away from what is hurting you. The best example I always give is if you're burning yourself, you sharply pull away and then hold the area. But there's that initial freeze once you've pulled away. Give yourself this second because this gives the crowd a chance to register you've been hurt. Very important though, make sure you are pulling away. If something's hurting you, you're not going to leave it out there. The second point, and I cannot stress this enough, is face, face, face. Not just if you're a babyface or heel, this is what sells it to the crowd. Body language, fair enough, you can't face people 360 when you're selling, but if your face isn't registering what's happening, the crowd won't believe it. This is what will end up as stills on the video. This will end up as cuts or an edit. So if this is looking good, if you are showing out, then it will register. It will register with people making the videos, doing the streaming, and most importantly, it will register with the live crowd. If this is dead, the crowd will not believe it. No matter how good your body selling is, always register through your face. Film yourself, do selfies, use the mirror, do whatever you need to do, but get this working. Look at other wrestlers, look what they're doing. Look at people in pain in films. Take all of this and use it. Make sure this is registering all the time. From lockups, everything. Always show a struggle. Always show the pain in the face. Point 3, consistency of selling. Make sure whatever you are selling, keep it up throughout the whole match. Do not forget to keep selling the body parts. Do not forget to keep showing in your face what is hurting. If you lose it, then the crowd won't believe it. It's one of the hardest things to do when you're trying to do an athletic display to keep the selling going on. Don't forget it. Get used to selling. Get used to keeping it consistent. As I mentioned in point 1, make sure you're rubbing the area. Up until this point, you have probably hurt yourself at some point in your life. Think about what you did. Honestly, if you haven't, whack yourself in the back of the hand. How does it feel? Remember it. What are you doing? It's not just registering the pain, it's how are you trying to make it better? So it's not like you're just going to stand there with your arm hanging down. You're going to try and get the blood back in you. You're going to try and shake it out. Remember these points. You're trying to make the limb better, the head better, whatever. Even if you're just shaking your head, you're trying to make yourself feel better throughout the match. So you're not only trying to register the pain, you're also trying to get yourself well enough that you can finish and win the match. Remember to do this. Heel or face, you should be looking to keep rubbing the body part, making yourself, working the leg, shaking the leg up, making sure that the crowd are remembering, hey, he's hurt, but look, he's trying to recover. So important. Point 5, build up on the pain scale. I did this, and it's one of the most obvious things I see happening when someone is quite new to wrestling, that they go from a 0 to a 10. You don't go from 0 to dead unless you've been hit with an absolute knockout move. Build up. If someone has just pulled your ankle for the first time, you're not going to scream like your ankle's broken. build up slowly. The reason I say this is if you start at a 10, you've got nowhere to go. Also, it doesn't look realistic. You have to build up slowly through the scale. The crowd will get invested into it, and as it starts to hurt more and more, as a bad guy, they think you're on the ropes and they're going to be happy because you're getting beaten down. As a good guy, they're really going to be with you because they can see you're suffering more and more. This is emotion, and it is vital that you build up through the scale. Point 6, protect the area. I know that sometimes in a match, you'll want to feed the baby face or heel a limb so they can work it, but also don't try and make it too obvious. If you've had your arm worked for 5 minutes, you're not just going to leave it hanging out there. Try and cradle it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? The opponent is going to grab the body part and wrench it to get hold of it. It looks like a fight. It looks like a struggle. That's realism. Don't just leave the limb hanging out there. You're trying to protect it. If you've hurt your arm for real, you're going to cradle it. If you've hurt your leg for real, you're going to hold your hip or knee or try and pull it in close or push yourself away. If you're holding your jaw, make sure you protect the area. A good example I can give as well for this is if someone has got a finisher around the neck, say an RKO, if you're working the arm, why would someone who's doing an RKO work the arm? Well, I'm protecting the arm, so then it leaves my head exposed for the finish. Realistic, sensible protection of the body parts can leave openings for the other person to take advantage. A really good idea to include this in your match. It looks sensible, it resonates, and it looks real. Point 7. I understand as a baby face, you're going to fire up. And it might not be everyone's gimmick, but there are some times when you are so angry and so driven by the crowd that the pain isn't going to register anymore. That's okay, but remember to go back to the injured limb. That rush of energy is good, but you're not the Terminator. Once you've done your fire, once you've done your comeback, make sure you're selling those body parts again. And especially, win or lose, sell the body part from the end of the match all the way backstage. I cannot tell you how terrible it looks when someone has taken a knockout blow or submitted and then instantly after rolling out of the ring, they're acting like nothing's happened and nothing hurts. It looks terrible. Forget your ego at the door. If you've been hurt, sell it, and sell it all the way to the back after the curtains close, to be sure. Number 8, learn to limp. One of the worst things I can see in wrestling is someone who has had their leg, ankle, knee, hip, back, whatever injured, then they do an Irish whipping spot, and instantly they can run and jump like a gazelle. However you learn to do it, learn to limp. There's nothing wrong with collapsing or having to run at a slower level, especially if that leg has been injured. Again, realism. Realism will lead to more emotional links to the crowd, which makes the selling more realistic, which makes you more believable. So, make sure you are constantly selling and make sure that if it is an injured limb, you're constantly limping. Another big thing with limping and stuff as well is if the story of your match is to have your leg, your back, your ankle injured, are Irish whip spots towards the end a really good idea? You don't need to have athleticism all the time. If there is an injury, make sure that the rest of the match is conducive to that. Don't do a running spot for the sake of it, unless maybe you're going to collapse because your leg is so injured. Stick with it. Don't do stuff for the sake of it that makes no sense to the injuries you've got. My final point is make your selling unique to you. Take as many examples as possible. Go as far back into wrestling history as you can. Look at everyone and then make it uniquely you. Don't just pick one person. However good they are, take your influences from as many places. Reject if it doesn't work for you. Don't do something for the sake of it, but make your selling uniquely yours. The better selling you can do for you, the more you'll be remembered. Remember, selling equals emotion. Emotion equals emotional resonance with a crowd. Emotional resonance with a crowd means they'll remember you, they'll be allegiant to you. And if they're remembering you, your merch will get bought more, you'll get booked more. And that means you're getting more bookings, you're earning more money, and most importantly, you're becoming a better wrestler. Selling, a good knowledge of selling, absolutely vital to wrestling and being the best wrestler you can possibly be. Thank you for studying with me. I've been Phillip Bateman. Don't forget to subscribe so you can continue to study the theory of wrestling. Thank you.